You probably don't need Fable 5 for every job. You might just need Opus 4.8 with the right effort level, the right instructions, and a simple rule when to stop overpaying. Because if Fable feels magical, it is tempting to think the magic is only the model. But a lot of the difference may be the process around the model, the effort setting, the system behavior, the routing decision. That is what this video is about. Not turning Opus into Fable, that would be a ridiculous claim. This is about making Opus behave more like Fable where it actually matters, and doing it without sending every task to the most expensive option by default. So here's the clean version. Fable 5 is stronger, Opus 4.8 is cheaper. But the gap between them is not always worth paying for, especially when the task was never Fable worthy in the first place. So I'm using 5 rules. Copy the process, set effort properly, package the behavior into a skill, route the risk, and watch the access window. That is the new game. So first, copy the process, not the leak prompt. There is a so-called Fable system prompt floating around. Treat that like a rumor with some nice formatting, but don't copy it word for word. Do not build your workflow around a leak, and definitely do not pretend that it is official. But what we can use it for are the behaviors inside that are useful. That is the part worth stealing. The pattern is simple. Don't trust stale knowledge, don't assume a file exists, resolve unknowns before you waste tokens. That is not magic. That is just good agent behavior. And that is exactly the point. If Fable feels smarter because it checks context better, you can also make Opus check context better as well. So if Fable feels better because it refuses lazy assumptions, you can also tell Opus to refuse lazy assumptions. If Fable feels faster because it plans before acting, you can make that a rule. So the first step is not to copy the leak. The first step is to copy the operating style. Verify first, then reason, then act. That alone will fix a lot of the average cloud output. Second, set effort explicitly. This is the setting most people ignore. Effort is basically how much thinking you are asking Claude to spend on an answer. More effort usually means better reasoning, but it can also mean slower responses and more tokens. That is like hiring a senior architect to rename a label on a button. It will work, but it is stupidly expensive. So here is the practical version. Low is for cheap speed, quick checks, simple summaries, and small transformations. Medium is the balance mode. Good for normal workflows where you care about cost and quality. High is the default serious mode. Use it when the answer needs judgment. Extra high is where the coding and agents start to make more sense. That is where I'd put the harder debugging, tool-heavy work, and multi-step planning. Now max should not be your default. Max is for the moments where being wrong is expensive, not annoying, expensive. That distinction matters because more thinking is not automatically better. Sometimes it just means that the model over-explains. Sometimes it second-guesses a simple task. Sometimes it burns money proving what you already know. So the question is not, what is the smartest model? The question is, how much thinking does this task deserve? That is a much better way to approach this problem. Third, turn the behavior into a reusable skill. Not a giant prompt you paste every time, a skill. A reusable instruction layer for the type of work you do repeatedly. If you ask Claude to code the same way, review the same way, or research the same way, that should not live in your head. It should live in a repeatable process. For this Fable style skill, I would make it not complicated. I would give it one job. Make Opus slow down before it acts. That skill would tell Claude to inspect the actual context. It would tell Claude to state the uncertainty, and it would tell Claude to choose the cheapest model path that still makes sense. That is the behavioral upgrade. Not be smarter, because that's too vague. The instruction is to verify the inputs, plan the move, then execute. That is how you make a cheaper model feel more reliable. Not by pretending it has Fable's brain, but by giving it Fable's discipline. Fourth, route by risk, not ego. This is where most people waste money. They use the best model because it feels safer. But safer is not the same as smarter spending. Some tasks do not need Fable. Let me repeat that. Some tasks do not need Fable. They barely need Opus, so if the task is extraction, formatting, classification, or quick rewriting, use the cheaper lane. Sonnet or Haiku can probably handle it. Now, if the task is normal coding, content strategy, or structured analysis, Opus at medium or high is probably enough. If the task is agentic coding, deep debugging, or multi-step research, Opus extra high is where I would start. And if that still fails, then I'd probably reach for Fable, not before that. Fable is the escalation path, not the default button. That one sentence can save you thousands of dollars in the long run. Because the best model is not always the best decision. The best decision is the cheapest model that clears the quality bar. That is the routing table. Cheap model for repeatable work, Opus for serious work, and Fable for expensive mistakes. Fifth, watch access and cost with an eagle eye. Fable access has already been weird. It was restricted, it then came back. Then Anthropic said subscription access would only cover part of the weekly usage. After that, it moves to usage credits. So if your whole workflow depends on Fable being available and cheap, that is going to break. You need a fallback, and the fallback should not be panic. The fallback should be a routing rule. So when Fable is unavailable, try Opus Extra High. When Opus Extra High is too expensive, step down to high. So that's how builders should now think. Not which model is best, which model is just enough. Now here is the cost trap. On the rate card, Fable 5 is double Opus 4.8. That is already a premium, but the real cost is not just the token price, it is the token price, effort level, retries, and tool calls. So think about it. Fable can be worth it if it solves the problem in one clean pass, but it can also be a waste if Opus would have done the same thing. That is why I'm using the 80.5 rule. If Opus gives you roughly 80% of the result at half the token price, use Opus. If Sonnet gives you enough quality even cheaper, use Sonnet. But if Fable gives you the missing 20% and that 20% actually matters, that's when you'll use Fable. That is the clean decision rule, not emotional, not hype driven, just risk, cost, and output quality. This is how I'd actually route it. For simple tasks, use low or medium effort on a cheaper model. For coding agents, use Opus Extra High. For frontier level uncertainty, use Fable. And for anything where failure costs money, reputation, or days of rework, escalate faster. That is the only time I want the premium model first, because in that case, expensive might actually be cheaper. Now let's bring this back to the original claim. Can Opus think like Fable? Not literally. Fable is still the stronger model, but can Opus behave more like Fable? Yes. Can better effort settings close part of the gap? Yes. Can a reusable skill make Opus more consistent? Yes. Can routing stop you wasting Fable on tasks that do not deserve it? Absolutely. So that is the real lesson. The model is not the whole stack. The stack is the model, effort instructions, and routing. So that's how you get the most of the quality without paying premium prices on every single prompt. If you enjoyed or learned anything from this video, please subscribe for more AI related videos. I'll see you in the next one.